Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share my screen with this PowerPoint that we have. Okay. Okay, now we got it. Good evening to the last class of today of this series of this class, Inlook and Outlook, and we are going to we're going to introduce you to a truly wonderful, beautiful letter from the Rebbe that the Rebbe wrote to what's amazing about this letter, truly amazing about this letter, is as you'll read this letter, you would think that Rabbi Rebbe wrote this letter to a 50 or 60-year-old person. But actually, this letter was written to a 14, 15-year-old boy who the Rebbe wrote this letter to. And the Rebbe wrote the letter to him in such an unbelievable way. As you'll read this letter, you think that the Rebbe wrote to this great Jewish person, intellectual person, but I believe the Rebbe wanted to show this young boy that every person is important. It doesn't make a difference what age they are, what kind of situation they're in. He's going to respond to them in the best way that he can. The young boy wrote to the Rebbe. You can see from the letter. I don't know what the boy wrote. We can see from the letter that the Rebbe writes back that this young boy wrote to him his dilemmas. His major dilemma was that he felt that he would never be a great scholar, and he based on the fact that all great scholars, when we talk about great scholars in the Talmud or great scholars in history, we always talk about them as they were great as children. And since he was not a great scholar as a child, he felt maybe he would never be able to be anything special as any of these great scholars that we talk about, that we learn about, and we discuss about. And look how the Rebbe answers this young boy his dilemma in life. Now let's start reading this letter. This letter is a letter from March 9th, 1958. The Rebbe writes, greetings and blessings. So they took out the name, so I don't know the name of the person. In response to your letter, dated the 15th of Adar, that means the Rebbe got this letter, the letter is written the 17th of Adar. The Rebbe got this letter 2 days before, and he answered in the 15th is already Adar itself. You know, I didn't answer him on the day. So in the letter I got to you on the 15th of Adar, Shishim Purim, in which you write about your spiritual condition, and you ask advice in this regard. So the Rebbe answers a general answer, which I tell many people this answer, and you should all come on Sunday to the class, the tiny class on Sunday at 10 a.m. You will find the answer to all your questions in the book of the Tanya, in the Alter Rebbe's book, which I'm sure you have. I also trust that your edition of Tanya has an index topic, which will help you in your search. And in essence, we should all have a Tanya, but today you can go to Chabad.org and you can download the Tanya. Now, in response to your question regarding what it's written and about those who at a very young age were already renowned as prodigies and great Torah scholars, so that was one of his major questions was, I'm a failure basically, I'm never going to be much come out of me because I'm not no prodigy, and I'm a simple kid. The Rebbe answered him, what is the point in the questioning why no two minds are the same? especially in light of what is explained in the 4th chapter of Tanya. What is explained there? That a person understanding of Torah depends on the extent of their mental capacity and the supernal root of their soul. So every person is different. Person understands according to their capability. God did not make people the same way. He made everybody different. And this is the meaning of the Mishnah. Be humble before every person. Why? That every person possesses a quality in which they are greater than their fellow. Similarly, the Tanya notes in section 7 of the Igeres HaKodesh that a person's success in any given mitzvah is because it's so aroused in the divine will of God that that person should be successful, more successful than somebody else. Every person has their journey. And your journey is not the journey of the prodigy child, in essence. You have a different journey. You have a separate journey. And you have to do your journey. That's your obligation. So the Rebbe continues. So I am surprised by your entire attitude. A person's purpose in life is not to surpass and be greater than somebody else. Rather, as the Mishnah states, I was created to serve my Creator. If God desires that one person should achieve greatness in the mitzvah of charity, and another person should achieve greatness in Torah learning, and so on, then each should fulfill the divine purpose for which they are designated. So in essence, the Rebbe said, this was your 14-year-old child. You're going to find your purpose in life. You're going to have a journey. You're going to find your purpose. Once you find your purpose, you're going to be great in your purpose. You'll be Moshe Rabbeinu in the purpose that God brought you down to the world. You won't be Moshe Rabbeinu in the giving of the Torah. You'll be Moshe Rabbeinu in the purpose of who and what you came down to the world for. And this is the ending of the letter. Obviously, all this applies, as stated above, cited again as the part of the Tanya, only to the question where a person should place the priority and energy. For every Jew is obligated in all 613 mitzvahs, and the study of Torah, which is equivalent to all of them. Signed by the Rebbe's secretary. P.S. The Rebbe writes, I trust that you know the daily study of schedule Chumash, Tehillim, and Tanya. In any case, be diligent in following them from here on. Also make sure to give a few cents to charity each weekday morning before prayer. Can you imagine a 14-year-old kid getting a letter from the Lubavitcher Rebbe? Can you imagine such a thing? The truth is, I think about it, I never wrote to the Rebbe as a 14-year-old child. But it's amazing. This young boy wrote this to the Rebbe. He wrote a question to the Rebbe gives him this whole beautiful answer. And hopefully this inspired him for his life. The Rebbe told him, be all you can be. And that's what God wants of you. And that's what your service to the Abishai, your service to the world will be. What a powerful letter. Again, this is in the Igeres HaKodesh. This is in the books of the Rebbe's letters, volume 16, letter number 338. There's over 31 volumes, 37, 38 volumes already put out of the Rebbe's letters. And such a phenomenal letter. And the Rebbe gave permission that his letters, especially these kind of letters, should be given out so that people would be able to read it. This was a letter from the Rebbe that he wrote to somebody who asked a question, and he gave him this answer, so that we learn from this answer. So let's learn a little bit this answer. It's a very powerful answer, and the truth is that we all should learn Tanya. The Tanya is what's written by the Alter Rebbe. It was called the Torah of Chassidus. It was called the Bible of Chassidim. I don't know if the right translation. It was like the Bible. It was called the Torah Sheb'Ksav, the written law of Chassidut. Alter Rebbe wrote a book, and he writes, I'm writing a book for every Jewish soul. He writes in the beginning of his introduction to the Tanya, I'm writing a book so that every question, spiritual question, every spiritual dilemma you might have, you can find the answer in the Tanya. Therefore, it's important if we struggle spiritually, which in any way, if we struggle, anything else is because we struggle spiritually. Because if we had faith, if we had betachon, if we had trust in God, we wouldn't struggle in life. We all struggle in life because we don't have betachon. We don't have faith. We don't have trust. Not only don't we trust God, we don't trust ourselves. Chassidut tells you, Kabbalah tells you, you don't trust yourself because you don't know who you are. When a person doesn't know who he is, it's like I don't know somebody else. Then how can I trust another person? I only can trust another person when I know that person. I only can trust myself when I know myself. So if I know myself, and I don't want to be somebody else, and I'm not worried about somebody else, I'm not worried about somebody else who's looking at me, and I'm not looking at anybody else, then I can have trust in myself, and I can have faith in myself. But we all struggle with that. We all struggle because we all have what in the Torah tells us in the Ten Commandments. We know the first commandment is I am God, your God. And the last commandment is thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not be jealous of somebody else's things. Those commandments is in essence not an action. I'm God, your God, belief in God. Nobody knows what you believe in. Nobody knows what I believe in. And nobody knows what I'm jealous of. I might portray a very strong and self-confidence person, but I might be the most inconfident person you ever met. And I might be afraid of my own shadow. So it's in my mind. You don't know what's in my mind. You don't know my confidence or my lack of confidence. I might be putting on a show that I'm confident, but I might not have any confidence at all. The Alter Rebbe wrote a book of Tanya to give Jewish confidence, to give us confidence, not to make us perfect, to give us confidence in who we are so we can become better. So we can become better, to do the best that we can do, not to do somebody else's service, not to be somebody else, but to be us and do the best in the way we are ourselves. It's such an important book. He called it the book of the Beinoni. He called it the book of the middle man, because he said to be a righteous individual is extremely difficult. To be wicked, you should be wicked. Everybody should be the middleman. And he goes into the middleman, the concept of the middleman, the struggling Jew, which is majority, 90% of all Jews that are a struggling Jew. We should never give up. That's the wicked person. We should never think we're going to be perfect. That's the righteous person. We should be the middleman, the struggling man who knows he's imperfect, but in the eyes of God, he's perfect. Because God made him the struggling man, and therefore God told him, in my eyes, you're perfect, because that's what I want. That's the service that I need from you, is that you should do your service in, so to say, not in what you imagine to be perfect. I made you perfect, and you are perfect the way you are. There's an expression, I think that when it was selling the lottery, they had the lottery, they said, we don't want to change your life, but the way you live it. I think that was the expression. We don't change your life, the way you live it. The Alter Rebbe says, I'm not here to change your life. I'm not here to make you righteous. I'm here to teach you how to live it. How to live your life. How to realize who you are. And he based the whole Tanya on this. So who are we? If you understand who we are, you'll understand the answers of the Rebbe. So therefore, I took this in a couple of different JLI classes. I so to say took for the other class that I had. If you think about it, think about these questions that are on this screen. What type of things, interactions, or phenomena make you feel important? What makes me feel important? Tell me, if I think about something, what makes me, as Zalman book, feel important? What makes me feel unimportant? I have certain things that make me feel that I am a part of existence. I always tell my children, the main thing is to have a purpose in life. That will make you feel important. That will make you feel valued. Every person needs to feel valued. We need to feel valued. And I told somebody today, we need to feel valued by our partners. We need to feel valued by our friends. We need to feel that we are valued, that there's something, we are important. The question, how do I myself feel important? What makes me important? What makes me valuable? The Alter Rebbe explains, what would you like to achieve, but consider too difficult to accomplish? Why do we feel that way? The Rebbe always tried to empower people. The Rebbe always tried to empower people to do more, because he had true faith in people. He trusted, he had more faith in them than they had faith in themselves. And that was the Rebbe. The Rebbe always pushed the individual to do more. That it was not impossible for him to accomplish. It was something that he had the capability to accomplish. I want you to listen to this video.
I'm not satisfied that only continuing it, not tend to increase.
Well, we'll be satisfied if you continue.
No, I'm not satisfied, not only about me, but not about you also. Ja, wie viel die Betonung, ich muss dann warten auf Lesen. Ich trage das nicht davon. So mein Körper zusammen. Aber ich denke, das steht, wo das heißt, man hat am Morgen, wie uns zweimal Since he passed away,
yes,
there is no one that has taken his place.
It's true.
Then you are recording.
I built a mikveh in Woodmere. In our
He
community.
was not satisfied about one mikveh. His was much more. Then they try at least to pass 10. And God will much bless you.
Okay.
That's for you. $10 for the 10 meters.
We met.
Promised me plenty of time they got to write a book of memoirs about you, the gun.
Yes.
What happened to the book?
Well, I'm doing some things in that direction, which I'll inform you as it goes along.
It's you too long here.
You're right.
You have much more other things to do after you finish that.
Okay.
May God Almighty bless you and good news. And you trying to do much more than you are doing till now. That's also a great deal.
Thank you. No, I said to people that this was a wonderful year, Baruch Hashem, but this was our greatest accomplishment of 1988. To be elected a senator was nice, but this was the best.
But don't be satisfied. It's only with you.
Okay, we both heard.
That depends more on you probably.
You know that we're now providing from the UJA Federation campaign $250,000 a year to the Lubavitch school system, which is very important. This is new development. It's wonderful.
And you expect me to be satisfied about the quarter?
I'm not satisfied either.
We are not satisfied.
If you were satisfied, I'd be worried.
You share with you. You have no reason to be worried at all.
I wrote to the Rebbe, I said, I'm just overwhelmed by work. Except for all kinds of small things. I'm involved in three major projects. And except for, dozens of smaller ones, but the major projects that are more or less constant. And the point is, it is, I don't know if I wrote it, but I said it is overwhelming. And for that I got an answer. The answer was, so my main question was, what should I drop? I don't know that the three things that are important, each of them in a different level and different way. But it seems that they are too much for one person. So, and I have to be involved in a way personally, what to drop. And the main point of the answer was, you go on, you continue to do all these things, and try to do more things. This was really the last thing that the Rebbe, the last message that I had from the
Rebbe. Okay, so that was the Rebbe. That was the Rebbe expressed himself and responded to people. One mikveh is wonderful, but 10 mikvahs will be nicer if you go build 10 mikvahs. I didn't change that actually. When I saw this video, actually, I saw him say the story in Israel. I was once in Israel and he spoke to the group, the JLI group, who went with the JLI, and he said this story. It's truly amazing story. So he said, he didn't say this now, he said, why did he listen to the Rebbe? Why did he listen? He wrote to the Rebbe that he wanted to drop things. He was a leader. This Dean Steinsaltz is a big organization in Russia, and he's an intellectual guy. He's a big person on his own right. He says, why would I listen to the Rebbe in that? When the Rebbe told me that, it was because the Rebbe didn't tell anything to anybody that he didn't do himself. And the Rebbe never shied away from anything and from doing more and more and more when it came to the aspect of good. And the Rebbe would always say this Gemara that's in front of you. It's a very interesting Gemara. The Gemara says, if the Sanhedrin, there was a court, whenever there was a court case of the life and death issues, you have to go to the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin was the high court in Jerusalem. It was in the temple. And there were 70 or 71 rabbis that were in this court. And he needed to be judged. Either not going to go to the laws, either 23 rabbis for life and death issues or 71 rabbis, the higher court, Sanhedrin, the highest court in the land, in Israel. And the Gemara says, the law says, if the Sanhedrin unanimously agrees that a defendant is guilty in a capital case, if you have an unanimous decision, all the rabbis agree that the guy is guilty, in Jewish law he's acquitted. This is the total opposite of American law, civil law. And why? Because if one person cannot find something good about somebody, something is wrong. It's impossible that 71 rabbis or 23 rabbis, judges, to sit there and hear a case, and nobody should find something positive with the defendant. It's impossible. Something's wrong. And therefore the person would be acquitted. What does that mean? In essence, it's impossible that a human being is totally evil and nobody should be able to find something good in that person. It's impossible. He might have a lot of evil, but there has to be good in every single person. And the Rebbe was that entity who understood that if a person would overcome, would realize, even if he had negative feelings about himself, and maybe even they were 100% right, there has to be good within him. He has to be able to find that good that's within him and bring it out and inspire that good, enhance that good. Maybe, the Rebbe would always say, a little light chases away a lot of darkness. If we awaken up a little light within ourselves, we will chase away a lot of our own darkness that's not even real, that our own negative feelings about ourselves, our own situation where we think that things are not perfect, they will disappear on their own. So therefore, Siddur tells us there are two levels of consciousness. Self-oriented soul is a life force of the physical body. Concerns are limited to acquisition of its needs and its wants. Might justify immoral behaviors, has the capability. Why? Because it's about self. It's about the physical self. And therefore, as we said, the Torah tells us you're not allowed to have jealousy. Can you imagine? You see somebody has a beautiful car, and you say, no, I like my little Tranta, as they say in Yiddish. I don't want to have this fancy car. I'd rather drive a shmata. No, everybody's going to think in their mind, wow, can I have that car? Can I have that better car? How can the Torah tell us not to have even the jealousy in the mind, not to have the thought to covet somebody else's beautiful car, somebody else's beautiful chandelier, etc. It's not even evil. I've done nothing evil. But I can justify an evil act. We can justify negativity. And then you have the second level of consciousness, which is divine soul, which is the expression of God, which desires to revolve around God and His will, has no personal will, has no interest in getting something over somebody else, doesn't have that desire at all, has only one desire: to acquire more goodness. That's its desire. That's what it wants. That's what it needs. It has nothing else what it wants. Not that it doesn't want the physical. He only wants the physical for its spiritual pursuit, for its good pursuit, for its godliness, for its positivity. That is my second consciousness. That's my second soul. This is what the Alter Rebbe teaches us. This is the Tanya, what the Rebbe told this child to learn. He told him, you're right, you have an animalistic soul, but you have a godly soul. And this godly soul, the Eibishter gave it a mission. This godly soul, God gave it a mission that nobody else can accomplish this mission but you with this godly soul. Nobody else can acquire this mission, this godly mission. Maybe nobody else will be in business like you are in business. Maybe nobody else would be the doctor that you are going to be. You can take any talent that you have in life and express your neshama and express my soul. You're right. If I'm a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. And if I'm a lawyer, I might not be a doctor. And if I'm an accountant, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer. And if I'm a rabbi, I'm not a doctor, lawyer, or accountant. But you know what unites us all? We have all of God's soul. And I should express it in my being a rabbi to be the best rabbi I can be. And the doctor should express it to be the best doctor he can be. And the lawyer should be the best lawyer he can be. To do goodness and godliness in the world. The expression of the second soul is not limited to a physical reality. It's not afraid of the physical reality. It understands the value of it. It understands that the way he's going to be able to accomplish in the world is going to be through this physical reality. And the godly soul only wants the aspect of godliness in any situation, in any avenue it can accomplish it. So therefore, this is our struggle, the Alter Rebbe says. What is the real me? Real me. Our primary is our divine. What is the real me? Is the primary the divine soul? The primary identity is that of the divine soul. The animal soul is our external identity. What is the real me? Is my external identity the real me? Or my internal identity is the real me? What is it? This is the struggle. This is the whole Tanya. Who am I? And the truth is, I'm both. But as the Alter Rebbe would say, who's in the driver's seat of my agenda? I'm a real person. I'm a physical person. And therefore, my external is also real. But what is my purpose? Do I have a purpose in life? Do I have a godly purpose in life? Do I have a spiritual purpose in life? Do I have a positive purpose in life? Or is it only the animal soul that's my purpose? Only the external identity is my purpose. As we learn Tanya, and I tell those who learn Tanya, the Alter Rebbe tells you not to run away from the external. Just have a purpose. And your purpose is special, just like my purpose is special. Each and one of our purposes are special. And therefore, if you look at these two prayers, it's two powerful prayers that we say every day. One prayer is, Bracha v'shalom. No, actually, it's a prayer of Yom Kippur. Bracha v'shalom, Lashon Yom Kippur. B'seif v'chaim, bracha v'shalom, parnasa teva, Yeshua nachama. In the book of life, blessings, peace, and prosperity, deliverance, consolation, and a favorable decrees that you and all your people of the house of Israel be remembered to strive before you for a happy life, for peace. Blessed be you, the Lord, who blesses his people in peace. And they have another prayer. Our God and God of our fathers, reign over the entire world in your glory. Be exalted over all the earth in your splendor. And reveal yourself in the majesty of your glory. The majesty of your glory might be all over the inhabitants of your terrestrial world. Everything that you made known, that you have made it, may everything that you have been made known, that you have made it. May everything that you have been created understand that you have created it. And may everyone who has breath of life in his nostrils declare that the Lord our God is the King, the kings, the kingship of all his domain. What would be more expressive to you? What would be more expressive to me? Truth is, Tanya says, both should be equal. Whether it's your finances, whether it's my finances, whether it's peace in my house, whether I should live in a exeter tables, I should live in a world, in a society that has decrees that are normal, normal governments. Or whether there's a second blessing, godliness should be revealed in the world. The oneness, the glory of God should be revealed in the world. That's a spiritual reality. That's a messianic prayer. That the world should see the glory of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what we pray for every creation should know that you created him. This is an unbelievable spiritual blessing. This is utopia, the second blessing. Both are important, my friends. Both, I believe, are equally important. Both is something we should strive for. We should strive for seeing godliness in our parnasa. Not in somebody else's parnasa, but in my own parnasa. I should see the blessings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my parnasa. I should be happy with what God gives me in my life, with the successes and the joy, the beauty, the family, the friends, the community. Should see the beauty in that. I see the godliness, I see the purpose in that. We came down to the world for a purpose. We created families for a purpose, so they should create families that create families that create families, continue in the purpose of godliness. Continue the purpose of what God wanted in the world. Ultimately, we'll reach to the utopia of society, where the world will come to one beautiful reality. We'll all be godly as we come to the end of the Rambam. Tomorrow, is we finish the entire book of the Rambam, Maimonides, in the world. Maimonides talks about the ending of his book. He talks about the coming of Mashiach. He finished it tomorrow. Finished today, the Rambam we finished today, I'm sorry. We finished the Rambam today. And the Rambam ends off what did the sages pray for Mashiach? Why did the sages want we should pray for Mashiach? For one reason, revelation of God in the world. So that we'll all be chachamim, we'll all be wise people. We'll all be understand godliness in the world. We'll all sit and meditate in the aspect of spirituality in the world. That's the revelation of God in the world. There's going to be a revelation of God in the world as the sea covers the earth. Doesn't you go to the edge of the sea, you see those water. So too, when Mashiach comes, you'll only see godliness. But right now, I see Parnasa, I see Gzeres. I don't have Nechama, I don't have consolation. I have problems. I don't have peace of mind. I have struggles. How do I see God in that? How do I see God in those struggles? And that's where the Alter Rebbe comes and tells you, yes, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to realize that the one who created you is the Eibishter created you in all these issues. The Eibishter, God, put you in all these situations. God put you in these situations, that's exactly where He wants you to be. That's exactly what He wants you to be. So therefore, the divine soul creates material possessions as a meaning to fulfill the divine plan. That's why by Avraham Avinu, when God tells him, Lech lecha, go out in your journey of Yiddishkeit, he says, La nafcha l'teivascha. It will be for you, not only will be a spiritual gain, it will be for your own well-being. It will be for your own good. Why would Abraham look for his own good? But Abraham understood the more success he has in the physical, the more success he'll have in the spiritual. The more menucha, the more tranquility we have in life, the more we'll be able to serve God happier. You think my godly soul doesn't want to have menucha, have tranquility. My godly soul doesn't want to have possessions, financial possessions, and no headaches, no worries. Sure he does. But what does he want it for? Because he realizes if I am happy, I can serve God happier. If I have a big house, I can have more guests in my house for Shabbos and Meir Hashem. If I have financial stability, I don't have any worries. For that now I can serve, I have more time to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Your godly soul is not running away from the physical. Your godly soul wants the physical, but for the right reason, for the right purpose, for the right agenda. What are the particular applications and understanding our core identity if you want to go a little bit deeper? And really the answer to this is right in front of you. Oops, so I got that second one. I need my validation from others. I am, therefore I am. I don't need any validation but from God himself. And every morning, I say this many times, every morning we say, I thank you, God, you gave me back my soul. That's the biggest validation that I need. When I say God gave me back my soul, that means God says I need you. Because if he didn't need me, I wouldn't have woken up this morning. So what do I need more than the God to say, Zalman Bukit, I need you today? And if nobody else needs me, that's fine. The main entity that needs me is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is God himself that needs me. And that's why a person says, that's why it's, I am, therefore I am. The Eibusher does not want me to be somebody else. God doesn't want me to be something else. God exactly wants me to be who I am. And that's one of the powerful teachings of Tanya. Because they were even in the situation of religious Jews that felt that to be religious, you have to be miserable and unhappy and unsatisfied with life. You got to punish yourself. You got to put yourself down. And that's why the Alter Rebbe was challenged and the Alter Rebbe was hated with his teachings. Because the Alter Rebbe came and taught, said, no, be happy with who you are, even in the situation that you're in. Even if you are not perfect and you need to become better, and become better. But never be unhappy with who you are. Always want better. Never be happy with who you are. Very powerful teaching. I kind of emphasize more to come and learn Tanya on Sunday, and you learn Tanya yourself. Or come, we learn Tanya on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. Come learn Tanya. It's a beautiful teaching of the Alter Rebbe, where it opens up. The Alter Rebbe opens up our mind to teach us who we are, who we really are, and not what we think we are, but who we really are. And what makes us tick? What makes us as Jews, makes us being that power of being a Jew. And gives us the drive. That's why Jews, we do have a drive. And humanity has a drive. We all have a drive to be better and to do things better. Because we have a godly soul which wants better. But not, God forbid, to drag us down when we want to be better. But to make us better spiritually. And then all the other issues wouldn't be so important. It would be thus the vehicle to use out our spiritual journey. So to create a deep and lasting love of another person, you first need to experience the depth within yourself. This was a statement, I think is blocking me. This was Tzvi Friedman. Tzemach Tzedek once said this statement. Very interesting. The story that Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, we take the middle matzah on Pesach and we split it in half. And we take the smaller part and we put it away for Afikomen. Tzemach Tzedek was sitting at his Seder and he saw his family member who broke the half of matzah and was trying to figure out which is bigger and which is smaller. So the Rebbe told him, Tzemach Tzedek told his, I think it was his son, he said, a great one that needs to be measured is not really great. If you can't tell which is bigger and which is smaller, then you don't know what greatness is. A great person doesn't feel great by being bigger or smarter than somebody else. That's why, again, most of the great people of Am Yisrael were always humble. By them, the simple person was as important as they. Even though they knew who they were, even though they understood their greatness. But their greatness was not in comparison to somebody else. Their greatness was not, again, in comparison to I am great because I'm greater than you. I am who I am. I'm not greater because you're smaller. They say a story of another Rebbe who had two sons. True story. And saw the older one was fighting with the younger one. One was shorter than the other one. So then there was suddenly a hole in the ground. So the smaller guy pushed the bigger guy into the hole. So now he became bigger. So his father called him in and said, listen, I saw what you did. You wanted to become bigger than your brother. Let me teach you something. You don't become bigger by pushing somebody else down. You can become bigger by standing up on a chair, by getting up on a chair. In essence, if you want to be bigger, go higher. You don't become bigger by pushing somebody else down. You don't evaluate your bigness by somebody else evaluating it towards to the value of somebody else. This was what the Rebbe told this young boy, this 14-year-old boy. Don't value your greatness by the prodigies of the sages. You're not doing the right value. You value your greatness by yourself, by how great you are going to be, how great you're going to be, not how great somebody else is, or how greater or how lower you than that person. That's not how you evaluate greatness. You're making a big mistake. You evaluate greatness by you accomplishing your greatness. And when you accomplish your greatness, you're just as important as a sage who accomplished his greatness. We'll end off with a statement of Rav Zusha of Anapala. Rav Zusha was a great Jew. And this is a great statement. He said, if I was offered the opportunity to exchange places with the patriarch Abraham, I would decline the offer. What would God get from it? He would still have one Abraham and one Zusha. If I'm Abraham, who's going to be Zusha? The Abishter wanted Abraham, and God wanted Zusha. So if I'm going to be Abraham, he's still going to get somebody else to be Zusha. How true that is. He said it. He said what Zusha was extremely a great chassid, a great person. He once said, "When I come to heaven," he said the same thing in a different way. He said, "When I come to heaven, I'm not afraid why they're not going to say I wasn't Abraham, or why wasn't I as great as Moses, or why wasn't I as great as the Alter Rebbe. I'm going to be afraid of one question. They're going to ask me, why weren't you Zusha?" You're worried about that. You're worried about being be yourself. Why weren't you Zusha? And in essence, that's what he wanted to teach it. That's what the lesson he wanted to tell the people that he told that to. He said, listen, there's only one Zusha. There's only one Zusha Ranapala in the world. There's only one, each and every individual of it. There's only one Zalman Bucket in the world. There's no other one. There's other people that call Zalman Bucket, but there's only one Zalman Bucket in Boca in the world. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. They created me. No, I should be the best Zalman Bucket that there can be in this world. And trust me, I can be much, much better. And that's why the Eibishter gives me my life every day. In the morning, I say, thank you, God. Not why didn't you make me somebody else? Why wasn't I created with somebody else's talent? No, thank you, God, that I'm going to try to use out my talents to the best of my capability today. This was a beautiful answer, I believe, that the Rebbe gave this young 14-year-old boy and told him, don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself. Do the best you can do by yourself. Learn some chassidut, learn some Tanya, learn who you are. You have a godly soul. You have something that nobody else has. And if you accomplish your mission in the world with your capabilities and your talents, you have accomplished what any great sage in the Talmud has accomplished in the world. Because just like the sage accomplished his journey, you will have accomplished your journey. This ends this wonderful, beautiful class in the Inlook Out Look. I'm happy that this class ended off with the Tanya, because I think it's so important that we all learn a little bit more Tanya in our lives. And you, as I said, you can learn it on you can go to Chabad.org, and you can also, there's so many classes on Tanya around the world. Today, with the internet, you can learn from many, many people the teachings of Tanya. But we also learn Tanya over here and on Sundays at 10 a.m. Come and learn with us Tanya. You're going to enjoy it, and it'll inspire you to be all you can be, as expression goes. Be all you can be, and the rest leave up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I wish you a wonderful evening. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. we're going to again do the next class in Positively Biased at 10 a.m. I wish you all tomorrow is the fast day, the 17th day of Tammuz, that we should all have an easy fast, and God should bless us all, that we should the Eibusher should bring an end to the fast and to pain and suffering in the world. Mashiach should come. We should go out of Gullus, and we should have a wonderful, beautiful evening. God bless you. Thank you. Oh, somebody said something in the chat. I don't remember that. Looking forward for your class. Yeah, I'm looking. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. It was a pleasure learning with you, as always.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, my
Thank you.
pleasure. My pleasure. It's a pleasure learning with everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.